thought to use this time to honor my elders, my sister and brothers from Professor's School. I want to note the thing that I got from each of one of them, the things that stand out in my mind when my comrades come to my mind. Maggie Newman. I will never forget a class that I invited her to teach at Long River decades ago. I've tried to communicate this teaching of hers to fellow students more than a few times. Basically, she pointed out and then drilled us on the idea that separating weight 100% is just the beginning of root. She used the postures brush knee left and right, repeating them like a loop. She would say, "Okay, shift the weight 100% into your left foot. Are you really 100%? Okay, now sink. Become like a fire hydrant. Then step." That fire hydrant has served me very well. Lou Kleinsmith. Lou was a great one for the principle of empty and full in the application. If you've got your weight in your left foot, he would say, use your right hand to push. If they have their weight in their left foot and are trying to use their left hand to push, they are double weighted. It won't work. Over the years, I have studied this important principle. I've come to realize that confronted with a double weighting that won't work, I do not want to yield to the double-weighted force. It is an instance when the correct response should be to immediately return the energy. That will work. Mort Raphael. Mort practiced what it took me decades to understand, though it kept tugging at me as I wrestled with the subtleties of neutralizing. Mort did very little shifting of his weight in his neutralizing. It was mainly in his waist and shoulder. As a matter of fact, I think there's something about his shoulder that I still haven't grasped. I've come to think that Mort grasped one of Professor's secrets. Tam Gibbs. Anybody who's at all familiar with my writing knows what I owe to old brother Tam. Study the form. It has meaning. The many hours we spent practicing push hands with the entire focus on being mutually correct in the two-person form. My hand on his wrist and the other hand on his elbow, but his wrist on my hand and his elbow connected to my other hand, etc., etc., etc. It took me decades before I came to appreciate what Tam was trying to study and learn, along with the great gift of allowing me to participate in his study. Stanley Israel. One day I was standing by the wall at the old school, and Stanley walked over. He put his arms around my shoulders and leaned on me with a little of his enormous weight. As was my wont in those days, I yielded a bit, dropping, bending my knees to try to neutralize his weight. "No, no," he remonstrated with me. "You can't do that. Let me tell you something. I work as a prison guard, and if I did what you just did every time an inmate put his arm around my shoulders, they'd run me out of there in a week. You got to take the energy down without giving way to it." What an important idea. To be both firm outside but yielding within. Firm and soft together. It's the real Tai Chi. There are also elders of mine who are part of our lineage. Those were 5 of the 6 pillars. There are also elders of mine who are part of our lineage, though they were not students in Professor's New York Shijung School. First, though he would abhor the implications of that word, Liu Shihong. Actually, along with the swimming dragon, Mr. Liu's soulful humility is a quality in him that I have tried to practice. Of course, when we think of Mr. Liu, we also think of the swimming dragon. There is so much that goes into making up the unique functional abilities of Taiji, but Mr. Liu's presentation of the swimming dragon exercise enabled me to enter the gate of being able to do push hands ably, without force or resistance. Again, I won't say that it's all in the swimming dragon. There are so many other important principles. But the idea of the swimming dragon, spine straight and quiet, tailbone hanging, then crease the quad, drop the knee, and turn the thigh, enables one to play from the ground while the waist and above can reside in softness and sensitivity. We can't leave out another part of Mr. Liu's imagery for the swimming dragon, the twin popsicle, or don't break the popsicle. A Taiji player can find nothing tastier than Liu Shihong's popsicle. Benlo. Well, the idea that comes to mind is separate weight. But though it's accurate as a summation of an essential quality in his teaching, separating weight might draw a rueful smile from anyone privileged to have studied with Benlo. Separating weight, 100%, empty and full, are just words. Ben presented and insisted on the exploration of the depth of what those words mean. He changed no pain, no gain to no burn, no earn. For Ben, practicing until it burns meant good health and functional martial ability. It's the gift he gives us all, the secret in plain sight. When I work with a swimming dragon, I invariably introduce an idea from another of my elders, William Chen. He said, "The waist is not the commander as it's written in the classic. The thigh is the commander." It really helps with the swimming dragon. However, when I think of William Chen, what comes to mind is this little Q&A between William and a student. William, in pushing correctly, there is no force. It's just like shooting an arrow. Student, but doesn't it take force to draw the bow? William, the opponent draws the bow. Martin in. Many years ago, I was invited to observe a workshop given by a visitor from the left coast, Martin in. It made me anxious. The principle Martin was focusing was keep the knee of the rear leg stable when shifting in the 70-30 postures. I incidentally saw Patrick and Jimmy the other day, both of them doing this idea. My own knee was not, and Professor's words, "Don't hold the rear knee in place," seemed to confirm my understanding. Many years later, I came to understand that Martin was right, and so was Professor. No contradiction. To access the line of strength from the ground, one needs to store energy while shifting. Store for release. The relaxed alignment, keeping the rear knee stable, helps create a condition like a spring being compressed, while at the same time, for health and application, don't hold it in place. Don't hold anything in place. That blocks the chi, relax it into place. As I'm working on this thing, it occurred to me how these last 2 points, William's opponent drawing the bow and Martin's knee remaining stable, are 2 aspects of the same idea. Robert W. Smith. When I think of Bob as a person and as a teacher, the words that come to mind are Kerchi. Kerchi, the air, the chi of a guest. He would say things like, "This person is going to be really good at Tai Chi because they understand respect." And perhaps we should call this art Kerchi Chuan. When he would come to visit the school in New York, in the company of a few of his senior students, I was always struck by the very respectful attitude they all expressed. Like Professor himself, that attitude seemed a little out of time, a little reminiscent of an era that no longer exists. However, I increasingly feel how that is our loss. Okay. Ed Young. You thought I would leave him out. Ed Young. What to single out of the vastness of what I have gained, garnered, been given by my relationship with my elder brother, Ed Young? One thing. Connection. Back in the day, Ed was the translator, and in that place, he was the connection between Professor and the rest of us. As the years have gone by, he has taken that place to levels of increasing physical and spiritual depth. Ed Young has led me, I think led us all, to the heart of the teaching. The blogs I'm doing all have a character in the heading. It is the character for heart. A secret I'll now reveal is the character itself is a deep bow to Ed Young from his grateful younger brother. Thank you.